This is 1987's Hellraiser. Let's begin. We open in a Middle Eastern or Asian cantina. I can't really tell the difference, but it's somewhere where everything and everyone is brown. People drink huge glasses of sugar cube sweetened absinthe, and nobody cleans their fingernails. Seriously, it looks like people just dig in their ass all day long and don't wash their hands. It's gross. Wherever we are, we pay a huge stack of cash for a small wooden and gold inlaid puzzle box. The guy takes the puzzle box and just fucks off like he's got an uncrustable thawing out that he forgot about. I mean, it happens. I've left many of just sitting there. We soon find out that this man is named Frank Cotton, and he's kind of the world's biggest jerk, so whatever happens to him from this point on, you can't feel bad for him because he deserves literally everything that's about to come his way. So now Frank's sitting alone in a dark attic surrounded by candles and holding the puzzle box that's still closed. After a little bit, he figures out how to open it, and oh man, that's when the fun begins. As long as you find brutal, gory, graphic, eternal torture and punishment fun. And let's be honest, who among us doesn't? Blue electricity engulfs the box as it activates and summons the dreadful Cenobites. Chains and hooks shoot out from the darkness, piercing Frank's flesh and just tearing him apart. So goodbye for now, sweet prince. Afterwards, the room is transformed into a bloody torture chamber, complete with chains and hooks and human flesh and bones, instruments of punishment adorning the walls. It's really crazy. It's a freaky scene. Pinhead is seen reassembling Frank's face from all the flesh laying around after the chains tore him apart. Then he picks up the puzzle box and resets it, and we flash to the future or the present, So now we're introduced to Larry and Julia, the dad and stepmom of the story. Larry is showing Julia around the old family house that they're about to take over and move into. Heads up, Julia really isn't feeling it, and Larry's too oblivious to see 3 feet in front of his nose. It's also implied that they're having marriage problems, and I would say so, considering that she's having an affair and still is with his brother, Frank. The house is absolutely disgusting, with maggots and cockroaches roaming around freely amongst the filth. They think Frank might be there because they stumble on a homemade rat's nest of a bed, random liquor bottles, and plenty of good old Uncle Frank's homemade porn. Why he'd have, I don't know, but he's got pictures of himself banging some chick, like a bunch of pictures. And he just got him laying by his bed, just like some people have the Bible by their bed. You know, some people go to bed with the good word. Not Frank. He goes to bed looking at pictures of himself. This movie also has some excellent sound design. The squirming of the maggots and the walking and scraping of the cockroaches, it gets into your head and it makes you feel like you're right there, and it gives you just this gross feeling all over your body, and it really takes you there. It really puts you into that level of immersion. Stepmom pretty much confirms her batshit crazy ways by casually thumbing through Frank's homemade porn, and she decides to keep one of the pictures of him and another chick for herself. I don't know, but she tears the chick out of the picture so it's just Frank, and then she just has one of many fantasy flashbacks of him and her banging. The first time they bang, it's actually on top of Larry's bed, but for some reason she has her wedding dress laid out, so Frank's banging his brother's wife on top of her wedding dress on their bed. It's kind of legendary. So they really wrote Frank to be like super dick in this movie, and so far, mwah. So then the daughter Christy calls in the home line at the house, saying that her and her boyfriend moved into a room together in town, and they're not going to be staying at the house, but they're going to come to visit once she found a job. It's kind of weird, but it's also stated that her and the stepmom don't get along, so it's whatever. So now the stepmom sneaks into the empty attic torture room and just starts getting her panties wet with another flashback of her and Frank doing the nasty.
Please. I'll do anything you want.
Larry walks in, interrupting her mental orgasm, and spills blood all over the attic floor after being cut while moving furniture. It's pretty bad, and there's blood everywhere, so she decides to take him to the hospital, and while they're gone, some shit happens. So the blood that Larry spilled all over the floor, it gets absorbed by the attic. The floor just sucks it up to dry. And after it sucks all the blood up, it starts spitting out this clear plasma goo liquid stuff. It starts coming out of the floorboard. And starts forming 2 piles, right? Just one forms this weird skeletal structure, and this other forms this big brain out of goo and slime and plasma, and it's gross. Amazing, but gross. So then the two things end up forming together, and it's basically a resurrected Frank. Somehow his brother's blood brought him back from the world of the Cenobites. I don't know. Fuck it. I don't know. Frank's back. That's the moral of the story. Frankie's back. Clive Barker's knack for live-action visual gore and effects are second to none, and they're shown off brilliantly here. Even now, as a fully grown adult that knows this shit is fake, it still manages to get an emotional reaction out of me. The music is large and enthralling with these sweeping orchestral bits that really make the visual gore you're watching more of an experience than just a cheap jump scare fest with mindless 20-something-year-olds. So now we're at a lovely dinner party, and Mom just has to awkwardly ruin it. And afterwards, she goes to the attic, and she's scared by Frank. But Frank looks like a ghoul from Fallout, but like a wet, slimy, nasty ghoul. So, ugh. He tells her that he needs more blood to finish healing himself. She agrees because she still wants that gooey, slimy Frank D. At one point, she even almost feeds the daughter to Frank, but like at the last minute, she's like, I'd probably better not. That's probably not the best idea. So now stepmom goes incognito, and she's off to the bar to sucker some horny idiot businessman home to be supper. She actually goes ham on the top of this guy's poor head with a hammer. I mean, she denied him action, and then she bashed his brains in. This guy died with a boner. That's the worst way to die. So then Frank sucks the poor guy's juices dry like he's some human Capri Sun, and afterwards he's much more filled out. He's much more human looking. He's just missing skin. He's still slimy, and he's still horny. He's just slimy and horny with no skin. We hear Frank first mention the Cenobites, and how he can't let them take him back to a world of torture and pain, but stepmom's horny ass ain't trying to hear all that because she's in finger suck mode. Oh, I forgot to mention there's this crazy bug-eyed homeless dude roaming around. He's like the homeless guy from Home Alone without a shovel. I don't know what he's doing yet. But now a more confident stepmom drags home victim number 2 as Frank absorbs his life force, giving him the same human Capri Sun treatment as poor dude number 1. Ooh, that haircut. See, listen, I know trends are circular and they come and go, but some things, they just need to be buried in the past. So now it's time for the film to get comfy and take a nice big exposition dump all over our chest. So basically, the puzzle box opens doors to the pleasures of heaven and hell, or whatever the fuck that means. We get a cool torture scene with some gnarly looking Cenobites looking on and enjoying the carnage. All I really gather is you open the puzzle box, Judas Priest from hell comes to take you to pleasure torture land, and then you're stuck there for all of eternity. So that's not great. Big nasty Papa Frank nails a couple rats to the wall, alive, to drink their blood, I assume, like little rat shooters. I mean, I've drank worse. He also slices off rat pieces with a knife, kind of like slicing an apple. So next the daughter thinks she catches good old stepmom cheating when she sees stepmom bringing home meal numero number 3 for Frankie. She goes to bust her cheating, but instead of walking in on stepmom and random dude number 3, she walks in on Uncle Frank halfway through devouring this poor dude. But Uncle Frank's a G and he doesn't give a damn, so he goes after her, saying, "Come here girl, we're family." She steals the puzzle box and dips, so Frank is just kind of like alone and angry. She ends up in a hospital after passing out from exhaustion and decides to check the puzzle box out and open it. This makes some weird shit happen, like a wall splits open to reveal a pathway leading to a hallway with another fucked up abomination waiting at the end. So the version I watched when we got to this scene had visual puppeteers and the rigging they used to move the demon. You can see it plain as day, and I'm sure they tried to edit it out the best they could, or as best as the technology would allow to be able to still get the shot. It's a little goofy, and it takes you out for just a quick second. It takes you out of the story, but you're right back in it, because hey, whatever. So the Cenobites show up, and they explain that they're demons, and they explore pleasure through pain, and blah blah blah. One of them's got a vagina neck, so I'm kind of interested in him, so what's up, how you doing? Before the Cenobites can take Christy, the daughter, to pleasure her to death, I guess, I don't know, she throws carrying Uncle Frank under the bus. She says, "Hey, I know Frank escaped you. I know you're looking for him. I know where he's at. Hey, let's make a trade. Him for me." And they're like, interesting. Stepmom and Frank figure someone's coming to give him a good talking to and a spanking. You know, because the murders. So they decide to be proactive and just go ahead and kill Larry. Fuck it. Frank can take his body now. So now Frank's kind of like Edgar, how he wore the cockroach. Wait a minute. Hang on. So now Frank's kind of like Edgar the cockroach that wore the Edgar suit in Men in Black. You know what I'm saying? So it's Larry's body with Frank inside of him, pretty much. Yeah, okay. You got it. So now they're ready for the daughter or the cops or anybody to come around asking questions. They're good to go. They're set. The plan worked. So what do they do to celebrate? Yeah, they bang one more time, so why not? Whatever. So after having a nice calming talk with dear old dad and mean old stepmom, the daughter goes to see what she thinks is the corpse of her uncle, but, really it's her dad. The Cenobites show up. Even good old Vagina Neck, he's back. So he's back in my life. After seeing the suck-dry body of Larry, the Cenobites demand the man who was responsible. Thinking they're talking about her dad, she runs away to warn him. This is when Uncle Frank says, fuck it, decides to finally go after Christy. So he's got a knife, right? And he's about to stab Christy. Oh, and the stepmom's holding Christy. That's important. So stepmom's holding Christy from behind. So he goes in to get the stabbing, right? Stabby, stabby. But she jukes and jives at the last minute. I don't know what happens. So stepmom gets stabbed. Stepmom stabbed. Larry, really Frank, just stabbed stepmom right in the stomach. So what's his reaction to being the reason that the love of his life and the woman who sacrificed everything for him is dying? What does he do? How does he fix this? Nah, he just fucking eats her. Fuck it, whatever. She'd be ashamed to waste such a good meal. No loyalty, Frank. None. This guy's super dick. He's just like the professional asshole. Jesus Christ. One jump scare in the entire movie, and it's our Lord and Savior. Holy hell. Once Frank finally has the daughter cornered and he's ready to go in for the kill, the Cenobites show up with their hooks and chains. Hooks from all over fly and tear at Frank's flesh as he tries to grab at him. They pull and stretch his skin and distort his entire body until finally tearing him apart in a bloody, gory spectacle, all right in front of Christy's eyes, searing the image of torture and demonic pain deep into her mind and soul. She retrieves the box from the stepmom, who has received the hook and chain treatment herself, and manages to reset the box, sending the nipple clamp loving demons and their weird puppet assisted wiener looking demon back to hell for now. So she tries to melt the box in the fire, but before it could get too hot, the weird homeless bug loving guy reaches in and he grabs the box. Now, it's important to pay attention here because you might miss what happens next. After the homeless guy grabs the box out of the fire, he turns into a giant skeleton demon dragon and flies off with the box. We enter the same cantina we opened at, with the same salesman selling the same demonic puzzle box to a new unsuspecting victim. And that's the whole plot and story of Hellraiser. Sure, it's dated and it's aged questionably well. Some of the visuals aren't really scary or full of terror like they were when this movie was more cutting edge, but the story is still solid, and if you can forgive dated visuals, it's still a thought and emotion-provoking film, which only gets better with the sequel. Frank is a great antagonist. He gives off dickhead vibes from the very first frame and scene he's in. He cares absolutely nothing for anyone or anything other than his own wants and desires, and easily throws away anyone if they get in the way of these things. Poor stepmom picked the wrong brother. Rest in peace, Larry. You were too good for this world. So let's give this late 80s bloody horror classic a score, shall we? Well, based on the version of the film I watched, which like I said earlier included a few extra scenes that were cut from the theater, I gotta give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. It gives you just enough Cenobite lore to get you hooked in the story and want more. Plus, Pinhead gets fleshed out so much more in the second movie because he's such an intriguing and an interesting character in this movie. And that's mostly to Clive Barker being given the freedom to bring his own material and vision to life, since he was the writer of the source material and the director of the film. You can think of any games or movies or comics or anything like that that you think I'll find interesting and you want to talk about. Leave it down below in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I hope everybody has an amazing day. We'll catch you next time.
We'll tear your soul apart.